Hello, LinkedIn folks. I'm here today with Jeppe Foshammer. He is with the AM lead for the Danish Ministry of Defense. So spelled with a C,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. We do it slightly different
Of course,
for
we all
whatever
have to be
reason.
different, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But I think that's partially what we're going to talk about today, right? Is how interoperability, that's going to be the theme for today. So, could you tell us a little bit about your background and where you
Yes.
sit inside the Ministry of Defense?
Yes, I will. And first of all, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure and honor. I've
Yes.
walked by a few times and seen it the previous year, so I'm glad to finally be in the hot seat, so to say.
Good.
But yeah, my name is Jeppe. I'm in the Danish Ministry of Defense
Yes.
Logistics and Acquisition Organization. So basically, it's what your equivalent of DLA,
Yes.
more or less. Not fully, but as close as it can be.
We
And
actually
there,
had the Lieutenant General of the DLA in the seat
I
before you
okay,
this
I didn't
morning.
know, but I saw the keynote speak
There's a
earlier this
theme.
morning. Yeah, exactly.
There's a
I will
theme.
say there's some scalability that doesn't really work between our, but
Yes,
it is what
that's
it
true.
is. It
That's
is what it
true.
is. But yeah, I started in 2020 as an industrial PhD, and then I finished that and got full-time employed by 2023. 2020 PhD, 2023 full-time employment.
Now, how long have you been in the additive space?
So that was basically when I started. I did some student projects
beginning.
before. Yeah. So I pretty much started my AM journey more or less in the Danish Ministry of Defense.
You know,
Um,
we're finding most of the people started AM at the earliest, maybe 15 years ago,
Yeah.
and so now your ideas are finally ready.
Yeah.
The ecosystem is ready to accept you as an authority.
Yeah. Well, it should be, but I'm not
That's how
sure
it
if it's.
goes.
Yeah.
The other folks have to retire and get out of the way so your ideas can get heard.
Yeah. Well, experience is always good.
Yes,
Experience
it
always
is.
good.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Well, what are you working on that's really inspiring you to be here with us today?
So when I started back in 2020, there was this. So in NATO, we have something called NATO Science and Technology Organization.
Yes.
So basically, research, a PhD is research. So it makes sense that I joined it, and there was this new starting working group on additive manufacturing. So that was how I got into the NATO thing and learning about interoperability and how to make sure that it's actually work. And from there, so many initiatives it haven't necessarily started, but just I got aware of all the different things that are out there. So that is what I use quite a lot of my time on. And basically what I'm here is, I will not say necessarily draft, but preach the word of the NATO initiatives, because the key concept in NATO is that we should be interoperable. So how do we actually do that and achieve that?
Yeah, interoperability is certainly a concept that, of course, has been around for a very long time. But I think for me personally, in my AM journey, the National Defense Industrial Strategy of a few years ago, 2024, really brought it home to me that we need to understand co-production. At least this is from an American viewpoint. We need to understand co-production, especially in far-flung places such as the Indo-Pacific. And so I set out around that time to begin to understand specifically in Indo-PACOM area, how we could begin to look at co-production with our allies. And so we know there's tremendous expertise in other nations, such as your country, but it's always difficult to accept another person's parts.
Yeah, no,
you
100%.
don't, like, where has this been, right? Like, you know what I mean? It's just the
100%.
way it is, and we don't
100%.
even. We have a hard time accepting parts between our own military services. Did the Marines make this? I'm Air Force. I'm not going to use that if the Marines made it. So, I mean, I'm of course making that up, but it's human nature. So, I think the hard work that you're attempting regarding interoperability and raising this issue is really important. So, What are some of the initiatives in NATO that you are working on?
Yeah, so go again, starting with the Science and Technology Organization. So when I joined there, we had this research task group, as it's called. It's a 3-year
Yeah.
project, and one of the key findings was actually from in terms of quality assurance and qualification. Great job done by the Brits. Like, one of the findings was that we assess criticality differently.
Yeah.
So the way that US assess this spare part for criticality and the way Denmark would do it and the way UK would do it might not necessarily be the same. So how do we actually deal with that? So, but we basically ramped up the project, and it was creating sort of a baseline in terms of, well, these are some of all of the issues that we have, and then came up with recommendation how to solve it. And now we are starting in, hopefully, we're still pending approval, but in 2027 we will hopefully start a new group trying to see how can we operationalize the findings that we have in our previous group. So that is one of the key aspects, and it's really covering domain-specific requirements, legislations, digital threat, certification, standardization. So quite comprehensive. We were perhaps also a little bit too ambitious in the end, but again, that is also why we need more people to join in. And like, there are so many great people working with AM in US, so it would be nice to have some of those people on board.
Well, that's a heavy lift there, Jeppe. I mean, I do that inside America, so much less trying to align regimes across the world. But it's important to do.
It is important, but
it's important.
But in science and technology, we do sort of like, it's research.
Yeah.
So it's
and standards are set internationally. So
exactly,
there's some muscle memory around this kind of collaboration.
But we need to feed that information into Allied Command Transformation and NATO Standardization Organization, so they can sort of work from there. But there's also where we then have the civics exercise, coalition warrior interoperability exercise. So that is where we actually take some of the stuff and test it out.
And you're building trust. I mean, really, this is trust. You're building it at one maneuver, one part, one TDP at a time.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Well, we're doing that across the country and across services. So it's important. Like, so what are the biggest barriers? The agreements, is it humans? Is it policy? What is it?
It's complicated to pinpoint, but it's kind of everything. But I think the issue is more or less that we do things differently, and like, so for example, at the civics exercise, we can show that we can share a file with each other, but that doesn't really make us interoperable. So we can share a file, but you have a print of one brand, I have a print of another brand. The print file doesn't work across the printer, so we might be interoperable in terms of sharing data, but once we are then using the data, then we are not interoperable anymore. So how do we deal with that aspects of the issue?
Is it like a Google Translate for additive in some ways?
Yeah, in some way. Like one of the things that we're talking about is that we would really like some print file harmonization.
Yeah, okay.
So
print file harmonization.
Within a given technology. So I'm not saying that whatever works, whatever you can print on a powder bed system should work on a filament-based system, but whatever printers you have within the filament, if it's prepared for one type of printer, it should work for the other types.
I see. That's an interesting concept.
Because let's face it, whenever we get deployed, we go into coalition. So, and the NATO nation will never agree on the same brand of printer, and we shouldn't, because we also need to, keep the industry alive and support the industry.
I agree.
So we need multiple brands of printers, but we also need to be able to
rely on them, that the technical data that you're using is harmonious.
Interoperable.
Yeah, and interoperable and harmonious. Yeah. So, okay, well, this is a good tee up for the next question I have, which I know I saw you in a discussion earlier, I think at the small stage.
Tech Talk.
The Tech Talk, where you were speaking about the Ukraine theater and some of the lessons learned there. I think it's a good segue to that
definitely.
those lessons that you've learned there.
Yeah.
Tell me what you're learning.
Yeah, and obviously not Denmark per se, the Ukrainians,
Yes.
but it's like it's really about
Manufacturing.
yeah,
Yes.
like they really have this great experience, obviously on a horrendous background, but they really built up the experience, and they have been donated a lot of systems, which is good, but not every donation has been successful because okay, they get for example a system, but they don't know how to use it because they are not trained in how to use it, or
Yeah.
there might not be enough support in terms of whatever raw material is being used, or there might be some service involved, but you cannot send the service into Ukraine. So you also need to teach them basically
How to maintain the system.
how can they be sustainable, how can they actually use it for something. And then we have donated a lot of obsolete equipment, but how to fix it. It would be nice if they then also get the technical data package or something like that, so they are actually able to sustain the equipment once they have it.
So that those learnings are really important, because what happens in the fog of war is what's going to happen everywhere.
Exactly.
And we have the luxury to sit and talk about this calmly, but you and I both know if a conflict occurs and these services are needed, the whole game changes at that point. And we get done what we can get done.
Exactly.
So what you're trying to do is at least tee up some decision matrix and some, interoperability and harmony so that we can move forward. So this is probably not fair, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to ask the magic wand question, because that's really important here. Like somebody with your experience, you've been doing this for a while now, and there's levels of frustration that create learning. Is there something you would love to share with our audience, which is the AM community in the United States, that we can learn from with you, or we can join you to do?
Yeah, I guess it also depends on if it's support for Ukraine or if it's just within the NATO umbrella, so to say. I would say in terms of the Ukraine, it's really thinking about holistically. Again, it's not just about donating a piece of equipment or a printer or whatever. It's the whole support structure around it to sort of give the full support. And in terms of if we look at it on the NATO size, I mean, like, there are so many good things being discussed and there are so many good solutions, but we are all building them sort of in an echo chamber. So my magic wand, so to say, would be that we actually, and this comes into policy and legislation, but like that nations agree on, let's have full transparency and actually start to collaborate, because interoperability is not, again, it's not just about sharing file next to it. So now we one type of interoperability, but we need the holistic full scale. Interoperability as a concept probably includes the whole scale, but I mean, like, language barrier. So,
I know.
So
what's the word in your language?
I honestly, I'm so biased by, or I'm so prone by interoperability. By now, I don't have any other words for it. But basically, if we could have the full transparency and the full collaboration without, I can share this, but I cannot share this. I can discuss this, but I cannot discuss this. That would be my...
Like a playbook, so to speak.
Yeah, I know it's not... You said I could be magical about it. I know it's not feasible, but that would be...
Well, I think the things that come from our imaginations, we have to make them happen.
Exactly.
So it's a Google Translate for additive.
And
shoot
for the stars, right?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Why not?
Exactly.
Well, I'm really glad to have met you, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for
sharing the wisdom that you have gained, and for your mission to create interoperability between our nations. So thank you, and have a great show.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.